Rest in peace, Ace Frehley passed away. Saluting the music, his music, Kiss's music, all evening long on the Shelley Winter Show. Breaking news, my friends, just broke. You're hearing it here first. This is from Donald Trump. George has been in solitary confinement for long stretches of time and by all accounts has been horribly mistreated. Therefore, I just signed a commutation releasing George Santos from prison immediately in all caps. Good luck, George. Have a great life. That's my dude. That's my dude. They gave this guy 87 months for fraud. Nobody gets that kind of time. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was one of a few Republicans trying to get help for George Santos. Marjorie Taylor Greene in an interview said George Santos never raped anybody, never murdered anybody. He's not a child sex trafficker. Why is he in solitary confinement? This is an extreme treatment for someone for the crimes that he was convicted of. And Donald Trump just commuted his sentence. Good for George Santos. And they're right. I mean, regardless of what you think of these people, these guys went after people and they judged them harshly for what amounts to crimes that many people don't get convicted of or even charged with in the beginning. So good for the president. George Santos gets to go home and live his life. So here's the headline. I read it yesterday in the Washington Post. I'm so proud of my dear friend Gina Barr. And let me tell you again, Gina Barr is a political consultant. I've known Gina probably, I met Gina probably in 2014-15. Met her through my good friend and little sister Janelle King. Gina Barr is a political consultant and was the executive director of Black Coalitions for the 2024 Trump campaign. As a matter of fact, when I was the MC and moderator for the barbershop event here in Georgia with Ben Carson and Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt, and Trump called in when we were at that barbershop event, it was Gina who got me, who first came to me to kind of help set up that event. So she is a dear friend and a sister, and she's a brilliant political consultant. And if you're listening to me right now and you're running statewide, you might strongly consider reaching out to me to say, hey, Shelley, you got Gina Barr's number? I'd like to talk to her. But the title of her op-ed in the Washington Post, are these young Republicans the future? If so, the party's in trouble. Subheadline, 17 of the Republicans' 26 targeted districts are at least 40% non-white. Old strategies won't work. She talks about the leaked group chat. This week, the Young Republican National Federation was rocked by revelation from a Politico report about a leaked group chat where members referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people alongside anti-Semitic and violent rhetoric. The backlash was swift. Both Republicans and Democrats demanded the resignation of everyone involved. And she goes on to talk about the leaked messages spanning more than 7 months was exchanged among young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. This is one of the important paragraphs. What's alarming isn't just the racism and hatred on display. It's that these individuals are supposed to represent the future of the Republican Party. Their bigotry doesn't just strain their reputations, it blinds them and their ilk to the reality of the political terrain ahead. So now that you've reacted to me saying the title and you've gotten all bent out of shape and you've defended them in your mind, if you're on the right, your mind is going to, well, Shelley, it's little to nothing. Or you've said Jay Jones said worse. Or you're like J.D. Vance who said, oh, there's just kids being kids. Once you've done all of that, here's where she hits you with the power. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu wrote that no general wins without understanding the terrain. You can't move troops, plan strategy, or maintain morale if you don't know the ground you're standing on. Misread it and you lose. Master it and you win. That lesson is especially relevant as we approach the 2026 midterms. Republicans hope to not only defend their slim congressional majority, but to expand it. Democrats, desperate to stall President Donald Trump's agenda, are fighting to reclaim both chambers. Here's what she gets into the demographics. The demographics tell the story. Of the 26 congressional districts targeted by the National Republican Congressional Committee, 17 are in areas where at least 40% of residents are people of color. According to the 2020 census, 4 of Texas's 5 newly drawn seats are majority minority. Those numbers aren't just statistics. They are the future knocking on the GOP's door. For decades, the Republican playbook was simple: dominate rural areas and suburbs while minimizing losses in a city. And everybody listening to me on the Republican side, if you run for office, you know that is true. But the suburbs have shifted. Counties that once formed the GOP's bedrock are now turning purple. In 1990, only 2 in 10 suburb residents were people of color. By 2020, nearly half were. Add in millennials and Gen Z, at 45% of 18 to 29-year-olds still live at home. And today's suburbs are younger, more diverse, and far less predictable than before. The terrain, this is what Gina writes, the terrain has changed. Too many in the party refuse to see it. And my God, she's absolutely right. I hear it all the time. And when you see the changes, what do you say? Oh, it's turning purple. They're moving here from other cities and it's voting. It's changing, and too many in the parties refuse to see it. Yes, and this is a very key paragraph, key sentence. Yes, Trump made some gains with voters of color in 2024, but those victories don't automatically transfer down ballot. Where have you heard that before? You heard it from Shelley Winter. His appeal is unique, and Republicans can't assume every candidate will replicate it. If the GOP wants to hold power, it will take more than Trump's coattails. It will require strategy, discipline, and authentic engagement. That's hard to achieve when some of the party's young leaders are busy insulting nearly half the suburban electorate. She goes on to talk about identity. Understanding how cultural identity shapes thought is a critical and necessary strategy. A 2019 Pew Research survey found that 74% of Black Americans and 52% of Hispanics consider their race or ethnicity central to their identity. Only 15% of white Americans said the same. That's not just sociology, it's political behavior. Identity also shapes how people absorb information. Pew reported in 2020 that people of color are more likely than white Americans to say they see newsroom diversity as essential to trusting the media. The implications for campaigns are obvious. Old strategies won't cut it. Republicans can't just recycle the same old playbook. I just told you the numbers for the PSC races. I just told you 52.8% of all the early votes cast as of this morning, 63,000 of them, have recently voted in the Democrat primary. Only 37.9 have recent GOP primary vote history. 37% in the state of Georgia of the early votes of these 63,232 are African American. It doesn't help that we got young Republicans in 4 or 5 states running around calling people names. And it doesn't help when the vice president of the United States acts like it was no big deal. And it doesn't help when Republican voters are doing the same on social media. Not 1 month after telling me, arguing with me on this show, that if you responded, if a nurse said something bad about Charlie Kirk after he was murdered, then she needs to be fired. But these kids, they just kids. Gina's right. Gina's going to join us in a couple minutes to talk more about this. I need you all to hear what I'm saying. Stop fighting. Stop arguing. Stop thinking you know more than everybody else, and listen. We'll be right back. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WSB-TALK.